hearing still underway right now in Sanford, Florida, that is setting the stage for the trial of George Zimmerman on charges he killed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin. Zimmerman pled not guilty. The lawyers now fighting over everything from whether the still-to-be selected jurors should be taken to the scene of the shooting, that, by the way, just denied, to the compelling issue of whether to allow the testimony of an audio expert who says that in the background of a 911 call, it was Trayvon Martin who was in distress. Joining me to talk about today's critical motions, managing editor of The Griot and MSNBC contributor Joanne Reed and legal analyst Jami Floyd. Good to see both of you. These can be pretty boring, but this is consequential stuff when you're setting a stage for a trial that's just not about murder, but it's about guns, it's about race, Joanne, it's about Florida's controversial stand your ground laws. This is about a trial, setting the stage for a trial that started a national conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it became a galvanizing issue for a lot of the African-American community who looked at this young man and they sort of saw this as, part of a larger issue of the profiling of young black men. So for the black community, this is a pivotal case. But obviously for George Zimmerman, he's fighting for his life. This is a case in which if he's convicted of second-degree murder, he could be facing 25 years to life in prison. So you do have these two competing interests, two families, both of whom say their son was the victim here. It couldn't be more potentially polarizing.
Let's go through quickly some of the things that we've already seen in court today or are waiting to see. First of all, Zimmerman's defense wants to push the June 10th trial date back because they say the state held on to evidence. What are the chances they delay?
I think the judge really has a tough call here. That's all about the 911 tape. Now, state's experts are conflicting about who is saying what on the tape, specifically who is crying for help. And O'Mara, the lawyer for the defense, says when you have a conflict, I have a right to investigate further. This is the key piece of evidence in the case. I need a delay. The judge doesn't want a delay in a case this big, and so she has an important decision to make about whether it would violate his constitutional rights to push forward. They
have already fought for an anonymous and sequestered jury. There was a ruling on that already this morning,
Well,
right?
She's going to keep the jurors' names a secret during jury selection, as is always the case, but she's taking it under advisement how to proceed once the trial gets underway.
There are also these texts, and they ask someone if they've got a gun. There are texts where Trayvon talks about getting kicked out of his mom's house, references indicating he may not have gotten along with his dad's fiancée. The defense is arguing Martin was angry the night he ran into Zimmerman, and that's important because it sets the stage, right? That's their argument.
All that's important, and the judge really smacked the defense down on all of these motions about anything that happened before February 26th. All that's important is what happened on the night in question. What was George Zimmerman's state of mind? Marijuana smoking, not coming in. School records, not coming in. Text messages, not coming in. Toxicology, not coming in. Gold teeth, not coming in. Why? Because George Zimmerman didn't know any of that. So as of now, the judge has said none of that is to be mentioned in jury selection and none of it is coming in. Of course, the defense can always renew those motions during trial.
It is interesting because one of the arguments that has been made here is that their only case, and again, this is from the other side, is that they can paint Trayvon Martin as the stereotypical angry black man, which is part of the reason that this is really such an important and compelling story.
Yeah, and that's why the case is also so polarizing too, right? Because a lot of people, particularly in the Martin family, they feel that Mark O'Mara's strategy here is to put Trayvon Martin on trial before George Zimmerman goes on trial. And if you recall, the defense just released this huge cache of text messages and photos from Trayvon Martin's phone, some of which date back to November of 2012, well before this incident took place.
Cell phone photos of him blowing smoke, pictures of an apparent marijuana plant, texts with a friend where he references an apparent fight, all those kinds of things.
Right, and those are trying to come in, but as Jami just said, because George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin were strangers on the night of the encounter, he wouldn't have known that. The judge essentially said, you cannot in your opening statements present this picture of Trayvon Martin in opening saying, look at what he texted back in November, look at the photos from his phone. That cannot come in, and as a matter of fact, the Martin attorneys had said that O'Mara knew it wouldn't come in, but that he's now gotten it out there. It's already out there, it's in the media, it's part of the public conversation.
And part of the potential jury pool.
And part of that potential jury pool.
Yeah, and the same reason they say that there was information released about Zimmerman and his ex-fiancée and an order that she had against him. This is just beginning. Thanks to both of you for coming in. Joanne Reed, Jami Floyd.